welcome everybody to It Tastes Different Gaming News. What's on the news today? Activision is going to eavesdrop on your dirty words. Activision has partnered with a company called ToxMod to monitor, basically, chat throughout Call of Duty. And, it's just in a test phase just to see how it works, how many N-bombs it can catch. Activision says ToxMod begins beta testing in North America servers today. And that is today, so the 9/1. And it says basically it will identify in real time and enforce, and enforce at the same time against toxic speech, hate speech, discrimination, stuff like that, harassment. Nick's got a nice butt. It'll get pissed off of that. You'll get banned. So, Modulate, the company that makes ToxMod, describes it as the only proactive voice chat moderation solution purpose built for games. That just sounds scary. I'm not going to even lie. ToxMod is already being used in mostly small VR games like Rec Room. Call of Duty's hundreds of thousands of daily players will likely represent a largest deployment of the tool to date. This thing is kind of scary. We were talking before this about how it will identify youth, young ones in a game that are speaking, how it can identify if one person's using the N-word over another person, one is allowed, one is not, kind of a situation. It's very big brothery, and I'm okay with moderating, but I don't like the ideal of an AI saying, all right, I'm pretty sure I heard this word come from you and you're banned for the day or you're banned for life. Especially in Call of Duty. There's a lot of things that get thrown around in Call of Duty. But is it going to understand me giving Nick crap or giving Pat crap saying, hey, you guys suck, but you got nice butts? Is it going to be able to determine that's not harassment? That's me giving crap to my friends. I'm not an AI guy. I don't know much about it except for, apparently it's the next big thing. That's how the Terminator started. So let's go to Pat. Him and Nick are the tech guys. So let's jump to Pat first and find out what he thinks about AI telling me what I can't say.
Well, luckily for you, Shane, its only thing it's going to be used for now is to observe and report. So it will be reporting you to the admins, but it will not be making the decision to ban you. So still a human making that decision. But I find this a little humorous and a little bit like, in theory, this sounds cool because it has things in here like what we were chatting about. It has the ability to detect if you're prepubescent or not. So if you're a child or not, it has abilities to detect that. And so it may report you for a more harmful breach of protocol if you're cussing in a room with a child or if you're saying derogatory things or outlandish things or whatever. But what I find is funny is that most of the time, and you guys all know if you listen for a while, I don't like these games because the communities are toxic, and it's just not fun when you're in that type of situation. But the prepubescent kids are some of the most foul-mouthed, the racist people out there. Like most of the shit that I see in here, I'm like, that kid sounds worse than a sailor that's been at sea for 10 years. I mean, it's horrible. And I'm like, where is his mom or dad? Because I know if I was a kid and I said half of what some of these kids said, my dad would have came in with a freaking flying freaking one-arm suplex out of nowhere and pile drive me into the floor and been like, what did you say? Which is funny. So are the kids going to get the same treatment if they're the ones, even though it's like it will detect prepubescence and be like, Shane, you shouldn't have said the F word in front of that 12-year-old, so we're going to report you. And then also it has the ability to detect conversational cues. And that's what Shane was talking about. Like it will be able to tell based off of the reaction of the room if other people took offense to what you were saying. So like Shane was saying, if there's a group of people playing and they say the N-word and it was like no social cues or no whatever. And then if somebody else says it and they're all jumping up and ganging up on that person and calling him whatever. Yeah. You know, or any other racist term. It doesn't matter. Racist against whatever, any person. It's supposed to be able to pick up conversational cues to determine if that was something used in jest of your friends or the group that you're in, or if it was intentionally being a dirtbag, you know, a douchebag. So, you know, is it going to know if I'm hanging out in a group of friends and I'm like, hey, you douchebags left me behind, you know, and then they start razzing me? Or if I was in with a group of other people and I said, you guys are all a bunch of douchebags, I hate you guys. And then they all start piling on. It's supposed to know the difference and report me. I don't know. I yet to be tested and proven, but at least there's a real, this is how it always starts, right? This is how the takeover of the machines start. There's some human intervention in the beginning. And after like 6 months or 3 months or a year, Activision or sorry, all these companies that are going to use this, especially, you know, they're going to decide we're getting hundreds, if not thousands of reports an hour. We don't have the people to monitor this. Just start banning them all. You've got a 90% success record here. We're just going to entitle you to do all of it you want. And if you want to, as a person, dispute the claim, you need to go online, file a form, and we'll get back to you within 24, 42, 72 hours, whatever, 24, 48, 72, a week later, 2 weeks later, after your ban's already ended. We'll get back to you then. So that's where my problem is that eventually they're just going to hand this over to the AI to make its decision. So like I said, and that ToxMod claims that their software can detect, promoting or sharing ideologies, recruitment or convincing others to join a group or movement, targeted grooming or conceiving vulnerable individuals, i.e. children and teens, to join a group or a movement, planning violent actions or activity planning to commit physical violence. It's saying that this solution can detect all of that. And I don't know, man. I mean, that's a lot of machine learning models to have to dump that stuff into there. So where did they gather all this stuff? Was it just Rec Room was like their AI feeding tool where they basically fed all this into that AI system? And then they're like, because that's how you have to do it, right? You have to feed the AI model all these samples and it learns from with your guidance to say, this is that. I mean, take, for example, something very simple like a color recognition or a model recognition. Like you feed it thousands of images of shapes and you're like, that's a square. And then you tell it, that over and over, that one's a cube, that one's a sphere, that one's a circle, that one's a pyramid, that's a triangle. And eventually learns. And then you start telling it to predict. So predict the model, predict this. And then you're like, okay, you're scoring at 60%. What do we got to do to fix this? You often misrepresent a triangle and a pyramid. So we need to feed you more triangles and pyramids so you have a better detection ratio and things like that. So I kind of wonder how they fed this model of being able to detect all those things. So it's interesting to think about, but I also think of this becoming too overwhelming for their mod staff and then them just going, ToxMod, just handle it. Ban them. If it's this level of offense, you ban 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, a week, a month. Ban until we review it, or ban it until they go out and dispute it, and then we'll review it, So I have a little bit of contention with that. But at the same time, a bunch of friends razzing each other, it sounds like it's not supposed to pick up on, but I guarantee that's not the case because we razz each other so bad sometimes in games, just giving each other a hard time. And sometimes you're genuinely frustrated when we play a game like Call of Duty or Modern Warfare, because you guys know it's not my thing. I'll get frustrated. And sometimes I'll say something and not directed at them, but just directed in general, some jest about this is bullshit and I get angry. And sometimes it happens to any of us, but is it going to detect that and be like, oh, we got to report this guy because he got frustrated in a game and cursed a little bit or said something stupid or called one of his friends a douchebag or an asshole or something, So I don't know. Nick, what do you think, man? Am I overthinking this or what? The most even keeled guy amongst us. I don't think I've ever heard him get irritated at a video game.
I can, just in secret. So the AI can't hear me. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It sounds like it might be an okay thing. The AI, this Tox mod sounds like the Swiss Army knife of AI. It just does everything. um, but it'll have to be. I mean, Rec Room. There's quite a bit of players that play Rec Room. It has a pretty high daily count of players on there. So, and then that's all. Rec Room is all voice chat. It's kind of like VR chat or whatever, where you're basically playing VR games, kind of like little mini VR games with other people, right? And so you have to communicate and things like that. So, in some cases that can be a very toxic place. And that's a good game to feed the AI the data that it needs. Call of Duty's on, the AI doesn't know what it's in for because Call of Duty's a whole nother level. I mean,
it's going to be a ghost town with all the bands that's going to get handed out.
Yeah. I mean, you're exactly right, though. It's going to start with people monitoring it. That's what they say. It's going to just identify and report, and then a person's going to look it over. But eventually, yeah, there's going to be so many claims and so many reports that it could be overwhelming for the modders the moderators where they have to go, okay, the AI takes over. And then once the AI takes over, there may be nobody playing Call of Duty. Then they may be like, Activision might just say, screw it, let's get rid of this mod because maybe it's doing a little too much, or maybe they narrow its focus down to where it's not as strict, right? It just looks for certain things. My biggest thing really is kind of what you said, is just making sure that it can detect the right things, like not just razzing your friends or you say something that isn't bad, but it kind of piecemeals your sentence and makes it bad, right? Or, I mean, there's a lot of different cultures and way that people talk, and especially the English language, one word, like every word that we have means 20 different things depending on how the sentence is structured, and how you say it and stuff like that. So that, I mean, as long as the AI has all that data to be able to to know what's different between each, dictation and sentence and how it's utilized and things of that nature, then sure, it'll be fine. But, it could run into potentially issues with detecting that stuff, or run into errors detecting that stuff, right? I wonder, I don't know if they said how many years did they, take to have this AI learn this information to be able to detect things in the way that I don't think it said anything, at least not in the article. There might be something else online, but I would think it would have to take quite some time if you're going to be as sophisticated as they say this mod is, right? I mean, they're touting it pretty high, like this is the best AI Call of Duty voice recognition mod since sliced bread, I mean, this is the AI of AIs. Hal's got nothing on this, right? Step aside, Knight Rider. There's a new king in town. So it's just, it'll be interesting to see it in practice. I mean, it's already in practice now. So when the statistics come out and see how that, I'm sure, hopefully at some point we'll get statistics on its rate of reports and the amount of bans. Because if we see a high frequency of bans, there will be articles about it. And then talking about this mod and those high rates of bans. And, will that end up being better for the Call of Duty community, or will it end up hurting the Call of Duty community? I know there is a lot of toxic players out there, and people would rather not play with toxic players, but toxic players, especially in stuff like Call of Duty, make up a large portion of the player base, right? So, not saying that's everybody, right? There's still a good amount of players that are good and they don't, stir the pot, but there's a lot that do play that do stir the pot. And so Call of Duty has a lot of players. So, if a small chunk of them got banned, that wouldn't be too bad. But, if a larger chunk of them got banned, that could possibly hurt a service like Modern Warfare which is the always online, kind of Apex Legends and Fortnite style game for Activision. So we'll just have to see, really. I mean, it sounds good in theory, sounds good in practice. We'll have to see how it works when it's put onto the service, which it already is now. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's a lot of like jargon being tossed around with this type of stuff, right? And
Yep.
it's all smoke and mirrors. Sometimes I hate new technology, that aspect, because they try to throw around buzzwords that are just all smoke and mirrors. It's like we're trying to throw out so much information to confuse you because we don't actually have a good way of explaining this, how we taught it to do this or how it did this, what are the unintentional consequences of this? Like there's ways to, the bad thing about AI is subjective to bias. No matter how you look at it, you can unintentionally train an AI to be biased. It's just the way it works. Like you can unintentionally flag the wrong thing. You can unintentionally flag something the wrong way too many times to where the AI is now biased. And what I mean by that is there was a study done on this not too long ago, and I can't remember what it was. It was like a study about facial recognition thing. And it ended up kicking out like a higher percentage of an ethnic group because and it was supposed to be a predictive AI model because the person that was feeding the stuff into the AI model happened to feed too many of this one type and then judge it this way. So you can unintentionally create bias in AI because AI is machine learning, but you have to teach it. You teach it like a child, right? You expose it to this stuff. And if you expose it to the wrong things, or if you expose it to something too many times, it can start taking on the bias of the team or the bias of the people in it. And as much as people try to say they're unbiased, they have some bias towards something, right? They can't be completely unbiased. It always comes out, You can try your hardest, but I think I'd read somewhere that a majority of the AI models out there today that do some recognition and kick out models based on something have like 17% bias in them by naturally because of the people who fed the data into it and who train it. So I don't know. I hope this works out for them, and I hope they don't ever turn it over free range to the AI to do all the banning and stuff, because then it's just going to be like we'd all said, Call of Duty and every other multiplayer game is going to turn into a ghost town. It's going to be all the 12-year-olds are going to get kicked out for cussing like sailors. All the adults are going to get kicked out for razzing their friends or cussing in front of a kid. You're going to say the wrong thing one time, you're going to get a month-long ban, and by the time you come back, the whole community's dead. Which yeah. I would find quite amusing. I don't play these games, so it doesn't really matter to me if the Call of Duty community died a month after the game came out because of this AI bot. It's going to hurt the developers, and that's what I don't want to hear or see. But at the same time, it'd be a funny learning curve to say, this is some bad things about AI. Don't just build something and hand it over, completely letting it do its decision making because you just basically gave it the keys of the castle to ruin your business. It decided to ban 45% of all your player base. And those were the 45% of people that play it for a year. And that's 75% of the people that play it for a year. All the people who stepped in and played it for the first 2 weeks makes up. I don't know what the percentage are. I'm just pulling these numbers out of my ass. I just think that would be a proof and concept of how bad AI can be sometimes. It's good in certain aspects, but I think this is going to be one of those areas that's real touchy and real hard for AI to predictively learn, because humans have so many different inflections in the way they talk and the way they mean something, and not all of it's good. A lot, guys in particular are really bad about razzing their friends. And sometimes it can get bad. I've seen some friends just razz a friend to something, and I'm sitting back there going, that's pretty damn harsh and that's pretty cruel. But, that's their way they chat with each other. And an AI chatbot may go, holy crap, did you just see what this guy said to this? Let me report this guy. And they just hand out a ban. And then the guy's like, that's my best friend. We've been talking that way since we were in 10th grade or something, and we're 40 or 50, so it's a rough thing to be, taking the human aspect out of reporting. Basically, it's observe and report. We all remember those old terms, right? We observe and report. see something, say something. That's what the chatbot's new motto is. So, I don't know. I'm a little leery of this. I do think something needs to be done about toxic communities. And as long as they let the human make the final decision, I'm okay with this. But I think they're going to overwhelm their TSR staff, their support staff, customer service staff.
No, we're screwed. That's just plain and simple. You got to remember, AI is created by man. It's programmed by man. Man is stupid. Man is
Shane
greedy.
is the first to get a permaban.
I'll be the first one to have the T1000 come over here and say, you've been banned. I mean,
Shane's going to get the first permaban out of our group. I'll get another one later on down the road for I don't know what. And then Nick will never get banned because the dude never comes off keel or off filter. He's always like, there's just a flat line and that's Nick. And you're like, Nick, are you not pissed off? He's like, yeah, this is annoying. I don't like this or whatever. But you can never tell from playing with him.
Nick is the human equivalent of Valium. Plain and simple. He's
not down. He's not down. No. He's just even.
He's just on that level plane. It doesn't go up.
Yeah.
There ain't no hills in Nickville.
Yeah.
So, but
there's no uppers or downers in Nick's world. It's just flat line.
It's just Kansas.
Just Kansas.
Just flat. It's Kansas. Nick's always just Kansas.
But yeah, it's there's certain people like myself. I have a mouth. I have a dirty sense of humor. I've what some people would consider offensive sense of humor. I've said things in this group and in our private talks and just our regular chats that even these guys go, what the fuck? So if AI cannot get the inflection of me just being me, then we're screwed. And if it reports me, there's going to be people that take things offensively, even though they know that was not meant as an offensive way. And
everybody's offended by everything these days. So even the AI is going to be offended.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. AI has no butt, but it will get butt hurt. I guarantee it. So, unfortunately, I think this is going to be a big trial and error thing. And I wonder how far it will go. Microsoft is, they're going to be finishing their Activision purchase soon. And if it worked, well, Microsoft throw it into Halo and any of the other, online franchises. So I'm not a big fan of AI right now, but I'm also not technical enough about it. And the only thing I really know about AI is it will, nuke the world and send them something back to kill your child and shit. So that's really all I know. But Sarah Connor was hot, so it might be worth it. But you guys have anything else on this? No. All right.
AI is going to rule the world.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it will sooner or later. But people are stupid, so it may not be a bad thing to have somebody smarter than us.
All the humans are going to be put in a zoo with AI controlling it. That one needs some more water. That one needs some food.
Dude, we are already
Somebody
in
call
a zoo.
the vet. Somebody call the vet. That one's injured.
We are already in a zoo. It's called reality TV and C-SPAN. So, but thank you guys for getting to the end here. Let us know what you think about AI. Are you concerned with it? I am, but I'm an idiot, so I should be worried. But again, thanks for getting to the end here. Give us your thoughts, opinions about, anything that we've said, what you think about AI and all that good stuff. Don't forget to hit like and share and subscribe, all that good stuff. Tell your friends how awesome we are and how cool Nick is. And he never gets above Kansas, never gets below Kansas either. So anyways, again, thanks for watching and we'll see you next time. See ya.